In a world in crisis, can three idiots find hope in the darkest of places? Will love conquer all, or will hate win out in the end? This is a show called Hate.
Hello and welcome to a show called Hate, a podcast in which we explore love, hate, and everything in between in search of greater meaning and perhaps a little perspective. I'm John.
I'm Nick.
Oh.
Oh
no.
It's the ASMR episode.
Yeah,
No Chris today.
Yeah, no Chris.
That was a gap for tears and sadness. There was none, so we'll move on, I guess.
Just let the feeling
just let it
gonna wash over.
I think I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah, our good colleague Chris Ray.
That's generous.
Colleague. Yeah, good. Isn't here today for reasons.
Yeah. I don't think we even know what they are.
No, he didn't want to be.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he just didn't want to.
And it was very hard to argue with, if not his logic, but certainly his passion. So here we are instead. That's our dedication.
Yeah.
And now, Nick, I don't know about you. We were just commenting off air.
Indeed.
Just how good the audio is today.
Without Chris.
Without Chris Ray, yeah. And also because my crippling foam pad addiction has moved up the walls of the home studio onto the ceiling.
It's like a creeping fungal infection in your studio room.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Nick, of all people. Not being a fan of anything living.
No.
Or anything that grows on a surface.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that exhibits the core tenets of life, that is to say Mrs. Gren.
Mrs. Gren, yes.
Yeah,
Mrs.
Mrs.
Gren.
Gren. Yeah, she's great. Yeah, I don't like any of those sorts of things. So for me to use a fungal infection as an analogy was quite a leap for me. But every time I come into this room to record, it's developing as a podcasting studio. I like it. It's good.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think because I am actually running out of bare wall space with which to glue foam tiles onto, I think it may actually just start kind of creeping up the table.
Like next time I visit, you'll be wearing a jacket made out of foam pads. Like, hello, please come in. Oh God, it's happened.
If you look to the left, your suits are waiting for you.
Oh no.
Of course, please buddy up because you will need to glue yourself in. But it's weird, isn't it? Because for episodes, I've been complaining now. It's the dream of having a home studio, and it's going to sound amazing, but I'm not quite there. It's not quite, always little tweaks, always little improvements, and it's kind of telling that we actually reach what can only sound to the listener as a kind of like audio nirvana.
Indeed.
At the exact same time that Chris Ray is not with us.
Yeah, coincidence? I think not.
And so when he does come back next, don't tell him this.
No.
When he comes back next week, I'll purposefully do a really bad job of recording it.
Okay, great.
And so it will sound awful, so then we can cement the fact that he is not only surplus to requirements, but actually just making it worse.
Responsible for the problems,
Actively hurting the show.
In fact, what we should do is not really call that much awareness to it and let the audience start to realise that whenever Chris Ray is on the podcast, there's a notable dip in quality. And just let that sink, just let that marinate in the minds of our listeners, and maybe there'll be a revolt. I don't want to say revolt, listeners. I'm not telling you to revolt, like sort of explicitly telling you, but in a way you could sort of read between the words I'm saying and just maybe think for yourself whether a revolt is something you want to do.
Yeah, maybe think for yourself for once.
Maybe still wait for us to tell you what to love and hate.
Maybe form your own opinions.
Yeah, Jesus.
Who cares about ours?
Yeah.
So my hate is opinions, people.
Sheep.
Just me. I guess in the interest of full disclosure, we should point out that I'm recovering from a cold, which has kind of settled on my chest. So I feel a bit kind of breathy.
Yes.
Although that may just be the weight of disappointment I'm feeling that Chris Ray isn't here
Probably
today.
that. It's probably that.
And you are asthmatic.
Yes, and recovering from cheese.
Oh, yes, we should talk about cheese.
We should talk about the cheese.
What's the deal with cheese?
The elephant in the room.
We last evening we went. There's a trend. Chris Ray was meant to join us yesterday evening.
Oh my God.
He wasn't there.
The mystery deepens.
And the audio quality was amazing in that pub.
Oh yeah, last night audio was incredible.
So we went to a cheese and audio festival, a cheese and alcohol
I'd
festival,
go to that.
a cheese and cider festival, and we turned up and we were just we were both like, Work's been hard. We need to unwind.
We need a drink.
We need to drink. And I am what many people would call a seasoned alcoholic, whereas
Functioning,
you are
yeah.
new to the craft.
Yeah,
And,
I'm learning. I'm under your wing. I'm your Padawan of alcoholism. New to the craft.
So we go up to the bar and we're like, what's good?
Yeah.
What can you recommend?
Hey man, what's good?
I can only assume he took an instant disliking to us because he said, "Why don't you try this? It's called
Iodine.
And he poured us a pint of what appeared to be made of apples.
He called it Janet's Jungle Juice.
Oh, you've said it now.
Yeah.
We're going to get the angry, we're going to get the hate mail from the cider contingency.
They'll be like, what? It's incredible.
It had a pungent aroma and a certainly fruity...
Intro?
Yeah, I want to say, what's the opposite of aftertaste?
Intro taste? Pre-taste.
Foreplay.
Okay, yes, that's it.
It had a fruity foreplay.
Oh, I like it.
And then a TCP tang that came about halfway through.
Welcome to our new cider review podcast. It's called Apples and Pears. No, it's not.
No.
Well, we are upstairs.
Upstairs.
It's called Upstairs.
Upstairs with apples? No.
Upstairs with apples. How about Dem Apples? That's what it's called. How about just Dem
Dem
Apples?
Somebody make this show.
Oh, we don't know anything about cider, so
No.
our opinion's worthless on Janet's Jungle Juice.
No, and based on the effect of the cider, now that our intestines are ruined, we'll never drink again.
Exactly. But there was also cheese at this cheese
There was
cider
cheese,
festival.
yeah. And after a pint of, in for a penny, in for a pound. After a pint of Janet's Jungle Juice, we were like, good God,
Not a sponsor.
I have an instant headache.
Yeah, we did.
We need to cut this with some cheese.
But you see, some cheese would have been fine.
Some
would say, like, knowing when to stop with cheese is part of the battle. Like, if not the whole battle. But again, very new to this.
I know that there are cultures on the planet where, in lieu of having developed a complex counting system, simply have 1, 2, and many. And so we had many cheese last night. No,
we did have many cheese.
Very a very primal sense, and it comes in like by the 100-gram slab.
Yeah,
really.
chunk.
Kind of like if you were maybe raising a small family, and you're like you do a weekly shop, and you're like we need some cheese
to last some time.
And maybe like if I get one of these bricks of cheese and I slice it to make sandwiches for regular respectable human beings, it might last a few days.
Maybe
5
a week.
days. The school run.
Maybe a working week.
So I had like 3 of those.
Yeah.
Now, you have some experience in this field because you did reveal that you wanted to say a whole brick of cheese.
Yeah. I mean, mistakes, experience, I guess the two things are mutually inclusive at this point. But yeah, when I was at uni, I of an evening, had a block of cheese in the fridge, didn't have anything for dinner, couldn't be asked to go out and do a shop or order and takeaway. So I just sat in front of a movie and watched myself.
Watched the cheese.
I sat in front of a mirror and watched myself eat a block of cheese. Just a block of cheese, like nothing else. Just bit into, like holding it like you would hold a sandwich, and just like worked through it.
Thing is, I like cheese.
Absolutely.
I eat a lot less cheese now than I used to, just because I just don't feel the urge quite so often. So I save it up so that in one night I can just go hog wild on that.
I mean, we should say this was dinner.
This was dinner.
And I'm not sure whether it was intended to be dinner.
No.
Like, as the event probably didn't think, hey, people will come to this event and they will have dinner here. I don't think that was the plan.
They looked at a fine establishment. They're like, we're not going to attract too many trash people who are just going to eat cheese.
We're not going to attract those sort of horrible people.
No.
And I think the idea is the average chunk was maybe between £2 and £5 for a chunk. And I think the idea is you're a cheese connoisseur. You rock up in your top hat monocle and suit, and you go, oh, you have the Kensington Brown. I see.
Yes.
I will take 1 piece of that and 2 crackers.
I see you have a Baby Bell. Could you carve me a slice, please?
I see you have half a tub of Philadelphia left in the corner there. Gimme here.
Welcome to the Cheese Festival. We have an amazing selection. Here we have at least nearly a full pack.
Shut your mouth.
Nearly a full pack of Baby Bell.
All I want is Philadelphia. Give it to me. I feel like it's meant to be. It's meant to be in the spirit of. Well, what's the opposite of excess? It's meant to be that.
Moderation.
You're meant to be having like a little, a little
And you're meant to
soupçon.
have like a little thimble of cider.
Yes.
And you're meant to sip it and go, I'm definitely. I get leathery notes, and the orchard picker had recently cut himself. I think his blood type was O.
I think I have a virus.
And that is a fingernail. Yeah, and you meant to just go.
This is great. But what we did, I spent about £17 worth. Of cheese. I bought lots of cheese. I had a plate piled with cheese and bread and pickle and that was my dinner. Blocks of cheese on hunks of bread. I mean, it's kind of like a sort of medieval peasant dinner.
Now, don't get me wrong. That holds a lot of appeal to me. I've often, the hobbits, the hobbits have often spoken to me. Like, I feel a very strong connection.
When you hear the description of their meals, and it's kind of just like cured meats, cheese, and hunks of bread.
Any meal you can eat with a short dirk or dagger that you might keep in your belt.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm a simple man. There's an apple. Probably given to you by a kindly
friendly wizard.
Yeah, a kindly wizard. And here's some cheese. And it's wrapped in oilcloth and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
definitely cloth.
I like the idea of like kind of you're sitting on a rustic hillside,
a craggy front,
and great adventure awaits, and your humble beginnings are behind you, and then you smash cut to just us in this drizzly kind of beer garden, literally just like a slab of cheese in each hand, and just kind of like
different cheeses, the kind of cheeses that shouldn't be mixed, and there's those top-hatted monocled gentlemen surrounding us, all looking on and just shaking their heads.
Like rubes.
What are they doing here? Is that their dinner? Oh my goodness.
Yes, and they didn't drink a whole pint of it, did they?
Oh goodness, no wonder they're spending a night on the toilet, which I won't go into detail, but certainly did.
Well, for you, I mean, I think you had maybe a more immediate reaction based on your anecdotes.
Indeed.
Mine was maybe delayed by the. You see, mine.
Your body had to solve the Rubik's cube.
Yeah. Well, it's like a Stargate. Like every now and then, the planetary alignment, and if you miss the window to jump home, you've got to wait for
another 300 years. Yeah.
And it's a bit like that for me. It's like because my body moves with a regularity which is terrifying sometimes. I'm like, okay, well, I know I've just put 300 grams of cheese into my body,
maybe more,
and maybe more, and I also know that train doesn't stop for another 12 hours. You know what I mean? So, like,
I'm seeing this again. Like, I'm going to be seeing this again.
And I'm like, we're going to be uneasy passengers together for a little while. Or a little while yet.
The rails are going to rock tonight, my friends.
It's like you're in, you get onto your train, and you find an empty carriage and you sit down with a sigh. And you just know that there's a whole night ahead of you, but at least you've got some privacy. And then the door opens, and a smelly cheese man walks in, and he just looks at you, sits opposite you, and makes eye contact. And you just know that you're in for a rough.
This is what you're in for. This is your trip. This is your journey.
And the two of you are now inescapably locked in this agreement.
This intimate bond.
This brown handshake, which is going to... Yeah, so...
Yeah. So, that was last night.
It's not so much the consistency as the colour more than anyway.
Okay.
Moving on. Hello and welcome to a show called Hate.
As I'm sure you've gathered.
I'm sure you gathered, yeah. A show in which we normally bring a topic of hate and a topic of love to the table for discussion, and we debate these topics, and then we finally decide which one won out, be it hate or love.
Indeed.
We're down a presenter.
We are.
So I guess we'll just
Crack
dive
on.
in. I believe we may have some pre-recorded.
We have some little clips from Chris, which we'll get to, I think. But I can kick us off if you like.
Please,
with my hate. Okay, so I hate Soulja Boy's tech company. Do you know about this?
I feel you're about to tell me.
Oh, I am about to tell you. So it's not new news, but I learnt something about the story that sort of recently that brought it back to my attention.
Because. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Have you brought this up before on a previous episode?
Have I?
Have you?
Well, if I have, then luckily I have something new to add.
Because does this mean we're happier people than we thought if we're actually repeating hate?
Regurgitating hate?
Yeah.
Maybe, or we're just getting so old that we can't remember things we've done literally months ago.
In recent history. Okay, well, all I can remember is I've heard the phrase
Soulja
Boy's tech company. Now, admittedly, it may have been in the Russian camp where I spent the first 18 years of my life being trained as a sleeper agent.
Yeah.
So that I knew when the trigger phrase was uttered, I had no choice but to destroy capitalism.
Well, maybe now's that time.
Maybe now is that time.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Soulja Boy's tech company.
Well, in the effort of potentially getting ahead of the fact that I may have already mentioned this on the podcast,
I can't remember anything else.
I'll be brief with the intro. But basically, Soulja Boy, not really that well known. Musical artist / rapper, I guess you could call him.
Soldier for hire, kind of.
Yeah, merc.
Gun.
Sellsword. I think you could call him. Give him a bag of gold and he'll murder whoever you want, within reason, obviously. He had that song, Soulja Boy, sort of like that. Went a bit like that, I think. Yeah.
Was it longer?
No. And some other songs, probably. I don't care, bottom line.
Right, yeah.
But he decided he wanted to divert into the sort of realm of being a tech man. Like a Steve Jobs, if you will.
Like Iron Man.
Yeah, like Iron Man.
Yeah.
He is now tech man. Now, I think he was maybe looking at luminaries such as like Dre, who made Beats by Dre. So he developed some tech. Well, he probably didn't do anything to do with it, but he put his name on it, and so everyone's like, "These headphones are really good." Actually, they are actually quite good. So he thought, "I can do that. I've got the same sort of clout as Dre, so I'll delve into this." But he didn't really bother. Like he just sort of grabbed pre-existing, known shit tech. Like he released 2 consoles. One was called Soulja Console, and one was called Soulja Handheld. And I'm sure you can tell the difference between those two.
But the irony being is, the Soulja Boy is a great name for a handheld console.
Yeah, exactly. This is what everyone was saying at the time. Is like, but of course he's called Soulja Boy. Then it would be the Soulja Boy, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so sorry, made a noise. So he grabbed these. These consoles are out there. They're like super cheap, horrible. Have you ever been to like websites like Wish or Alibaba?
Right. Yeah.
And they advertise like, "Oh, I got a PS4 for like £7," and it's not a PS4. It looks exactly like one. It's got the same case, the same controllers and everything, but it doesn't have a disc drive, and it's just got a load of onboard like emulated games without any license to.
Wait, is that
like,
not hella illegal?
Yeah, 100%, and they're getting shut down all the time. But most of them don't ever really rise that high in the limelight because there's 1,000,001 of them.
Yeah.
And so not any one of them is making their millions. And if they were, I'm sure the big companies would come down and crack down on them. Anyway, he decided to grab 2 of these, rebrand them, up their price, because obviously, Soulja Boy mark on there, that's gonna get you a bit of extra money, and call them a Soulja Console and a Soulja Handheld. But they were just garbage consoles that barely even played the games that were built into them.
Right.
He also grabbed hold of like a sort of on-the-market pre-existing wireless headphone AirPods type thing, put his name on that, Soulja earphones or something. And then he also grabbed a sort of Apple Watch, but sort of not watch, like doesn't connect to anything, but just kind of looks classy, but actually is shit. And he put his name on that, and that was the Soulja Watch. And this was his launch range.
I'm seeing a trend.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Grab garbage tech, put my name on it. And I think, if I have talked about this before, that's where I got to. Like that was it, right?
Okay, that's where we when we last left our hero.
Exactly.
Okay.
So since then, like the internet has assaulted him non-stop with the garbage quality of his products, and many have said, "You're Soulja Boy, you're gonna get sued by Nintendo." Because Nintendo are famous for this. Like you touch Nintendo products and they like bring Mario's like hammer down onto your brain and you smash your brains across the ground.
I've heard tell that Mario himself will turn up at your door.
Oh, it is Mario, and he will kneecap you with a boomerang. Yeah. He'll bring his Hammer Brothers and the Goombas. They'll all come to your door.
You open the door.
Yeah.
It's early morning.
Mario.
You open the door and there is a man. And I don't mean...
He doesn't look like the game Mario.
No,
That's very much a cartoon.
Yeah, no, because that's not real.
Yeah,
that
couldn't happen.
No, that...
I mean, I've had to learn.
What you are describing is impossible. I just want you to know
that. Okay, let's not rule it out completely, but carry on.
Okay,
whatever. Yeah.
Agree to disagree, I guess. But you open the door, and there is a man on your doorstep, and he is wearing dungarees.
He's not wearing a top though. He's just wearing dungarees.
Just wearing dungarees, but you look close and you realise that he has actually coloured his skin from the neck down in with a red Sharpie.
Yeah, he's used a lot of Sharpies on
A
him.
lot of Sharpie, but the chest hair still shows through. And he is wearing a flat cap, and it is red, and he is carrying a board with a nail in it.
Yeah,
And
which isn't one of Mario's like classic weapons. Like you can't normally hit a question mark block and get like bit of 2x4 with nail jammed through it. That's not normally a power up you can get. Tanuki suit, kind of fire flower, board with nail through it, not usual. But here he is at your door.
Here he is at your door, and he does have a moustache.
He does,
but the rest of his face is ill shaved at best,
scarred.
some might say. and you look at him and you just go, you're not Mario.
Just look at him and go, a fuck.
And he's like, doesn't matter. It's a me.
It's a me, innit?
You're reckoning.
It's a me, you're reckoning.
Yeah, so
yeah. So he, like, the internet was like, Nintendo gonna get you. Nintendo gonna send Mario around, he gonna smash you. That was the message sent out to Soulja Boy via Twitter. And Soulja Boy reacted to these sort of tweets, these assaults on his integrity.
Yeah, his integrity.
Yeah.
He's a businessman. He's a pioneer.
With some remarkably disgusting insults at these people, which I won't repeat, but they were, shall we say, ableist. That is to say, calling people horrible, disabled-related insults.
You see, that's so weird, Nick, because up until this point, everything you've been telling me about the man, I really thought he was quite an upstanding citizen.
I know!
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, respectable would be a word I would have chosen to use.
I guess if you've kind of built up that much, respect and kudos, then maybe you're owed a couple of really filthy insults.
That's the thing, yeah. Like you get a few free passes, right?
Yeah, it's just like karma points.
Yeah, I think he used more than his free passes if he was ever entitled to them.
Oh, well, hopefully when he brings out more great products, that will balance it out.
Maybe that's the plan. He was just sort of buying them in advance kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he called a lot of people a lot of horrible things on the grounds that they were stupid for thinking, as if Nintendo would come after me.
What's a Nintendo?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows that? Who knows that name? Well, they did, and he's gone now. So,
what? He's disappeared.
Well, his tech company's gone. His products are gone. And he just tweeted saying something like, "I guess I'm gonna have to grow up now," or something like that. And we don't know for sure that Mario came to his door and like kneecapped him, but like. Oh, I think we know.
I choose to believe that when you see footage from Japan of all those dancing Pikachus,
yes, hordes of them.
Yeah, and they're all dancing in perfect step. The next time you see one of those, you'll see one of those Pikachus will just stop and like look around and then just leg it and just kind of
sprint away.
Don't need to be rugby tackled or get stuck in a door. Adorably. But then when the camera pangs away, they do beat him. Oh, yeah. You got to stay in sync. Got to stay in step. So it was short-lived. From what I understand, it was a few months he had in the limelight before Mario came to his door and battered him to near death. So yeah, I mean, maybe this is a love. I don't know, actually. I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of it.
I kind of love the fact that karma came. Like, don't mess with Nintendo.
No,
just don't mess with them.
They will kill you
because they all they really have. Bless them. I love Nintendo, but like the thing they have is their IP. And if you try and take that Mario away, then they're gonna fight for that.
I like the idea that in the ongoing console wars, like as all the various companies, the survivors have gone more towards software. Nintendo, the last bastion of hardware, are like, we make hardware.
Yeah, like, we come to your door with our hardware.
They call it hardware for a reason,
son. Oh, yeah, I love him. I love him to bits. But this is a hate about Soulja Boy.
Who we don't love.
Who we don't love him because he's a twat.
But maybe he's growing up, who knows?
Maybe. It's a bit late, but yeah.
Can I bring a hate to the table?
Do it.
I hate weird newsagent sweets. Okay.
I'm going to need some context.
Okay. It's when you go into a newsagent, so I guess, if you're not in the UK, I guess just a corner shop.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Yeah, and they're everywhere.
They are.
Like they are often unbranded in a weird way. Like,
yeah, or they're kind of like they're made to look like a brand, but they're actually not a brand.
But this is the thing. This is the thing that really wigs me out, and I think it's less that these sweets exist because. It's great that more variety.
Oh yeah, power to
it. Yeah,
them.
you want these sweets to be out there, but it's like it's the idea that who's making them? Where are they coming from? No one's buying them. It's like, okay, because like what when you, it's the idea that you go into a newsagent's and they're everywhere and they're always surviving. And I guess what I'm going to say is I'm fascinated by these companies which aren't market leaders, which never advertise, and yet they're always there. And I'm like, they must be surviving.
But they'd need like factories and machines and stuff to make these sweets. You can't set up as a one man like I'm just gonna
Man and boy.
Man and boy, yeah, I'm just gonna buy an industrial estate unit.
So you got the factory, but you couldn't afford the cutting machine. So you're literally there's one man and a kitchen knife running down like a
Callum, get me scissors. My knife's dull. Callum,
you've got a football pitch size length of taffy, and you're running along it with scissors.
Just a single peanut brittle the size of a tennis court.
You've got your grand kind of like knitting the wrapping.
Callum's like, can't we just hammer it, Dad?
No!
They've got to be perfect rectangles, Callum.
Get the set square. And it's like,
this is your granddad's peanut brittle business.
It's like historically, like every bar has always been cut to the dimensions of the granddad's credit card.
Oh, yeah.
And they still use that original credit card, like
still
Man
got
and
it.
Boy.
Yeah. It's so sticky now, though.
I think it's like the idea that you go, because there's always these corner shops, because even though you get the big supermarkets and they have monopolies and they control the market, people will always want bottle of milk.
Pop down road.
Yeah. I desperately need milk for a cup of tea, or I desperately need some bread.
That's their lifeblood.
It's basically
why
they
keeps
exist.
them alive. Yeah.
So every community has like a little corner shop, and it's like, and it looks exactly the same way it's done for years. There's no need to change. Why modernise? There's no need to modernise.
There's no need to market, really, because their whole thing is we're all you've got. That's their USP.
It's like, just we're here if you need us. Like, and you'll go in and you're like, okay, I got my milk, and there's always those staples. It's like there's some magazines.
Yeah, there's some Ginster's pasties.
Always Ginster's pasties,
Yeah.
Bit of grot,
Oh, yeah.
There's always a bit of porn.
Bit of vintage grumble.
Bit of vintage grumble for the lags. Yeah. And it's like, you go to pay your things and like, there's some booze. Okay, all the essentials.
Yeah.
And at the counter, you got all the mainstream confectionery.
Like your Twixes.
Yeah, you got your Twixes, you got your Cadburys.
We'll have to beep all these out.
Yeah, but we'll name Janet's Jungle Juice.
Well, yeah.
The stuff we say, yeah. So it's like, you got your Cadburys, you got your, is that a Kinder Surprise?
Ooh.
That's there,
yeah, hope I get a little wizard.
all the classics. And then you turn and you look down the aisle, this kind of darkened aisle.
Flickering fluorescent tubes.
And all the sweets down that aisle look like they've been there decades.
And I think they might have been.
And it's like you start working your way along and you're like an archaeologist digging deeper and deeper through different strata. You're like, Cadburys, brand new.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you see like, like a Cadbury's fusion, and like, that's
so,
very new.
Yeah.
Historically, that was only in the last month or so. And then you get deeper and you're wading through, and then you're getting into like the more obscure Cadbury's chocolate where you're like, tasters.
I haven't seen that for like 10 years.
Yeah, curly whirly. You don't see those very often.
You
anymore.
don't.
So you're waiting. And then after a while, you're like, there's a Scumby bar.
There's a pack of Bentley's Chirrups. What?
But it's like
a chort wedge. I'll take two of those.
Chort wedge. My gran used to buy me chort wedges every weekend. It's like the only nougat that comes in a wedge.
No one asked for that. Chort.
And it's like,
oh god.
When I was young, you may be able to relate to this. You'd buy like from the same kind of newsagent. You'd buy like crappy comics. Buy, like these really crappy comics, and you loved them because you didn't have anything else
in your life to live for.
And there'd always be like a sweet kind of glued to the outside.
Yeah,
and it was always slightly disappointing.
Oh yeah,
but again, you ate it.
Yeah,
or
you had to.
Yeah, it'd be like that kind of taffy, which is like it's not nice, and but it's sugar. I guess like it's technically a foodstuff.
I'm guessing they were doing some sort of deal where it's like, we want to bring Bentley's chirrups to market. We want to get these out there. The kids are going to go crazy for chirrups, but we can't really afford like a TV spot or anything. They're in the newsagents already, but no one cares because they're in that dark aisle. So let's stick them on the front of the Beano and just hope to fuck that like a kid likes a chirrup, you know.
But it's like, so it's not even like off-brand chocolate. In fact, I say it's rarely off-brand chocolate. It's more like off-brand confectionery, maybe like more kind of sweeties, more kind of
Yes, yeah.
So, and again, it's my issue with it is a very fine line between big branded, big blockbuster chocolate.
AAA.
Love it. See adverts. It's on billboards.
Mars bar.
At the other end, if you went to a pick a mix and everything is unbranded, I don't care where those, strawberry fancies came from. I don't care about the, the vanilla peat swirlies or something like that. Good for digestion.
Delicious.
Oh, it's a charcoal Twizzler. I don't
crunch. Oh no, that's just charcoal. Shit.
Oh no, we didn't change the filter in the air conditioner. So I don't mind. Like, it's I could go elbow deep into a pile of cherry lips. I don't care.
No.
But it's when it's in the middle and you have a shitty sweet, which is
But it's got a brand.
It has a brand.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who made this brand?
Because this is it, like cola bottles. Like, when you buy cola bottles, you're not buying a specific brand. You could get Swizzles probably, or like Matlow's or whatever. I think that's a brand, isn't it?
Yes, that's a,
But I don't buy my cola bottles dependent on brand. Like you say, it's just like, oh, cool, cola bottles.
Yeah,
Scoop 'em
a
into
cola
my cup.
bottle is a cola bottle. By any other name,
Exactly.
it's a cola bottle, yeah.
But then when you see a brand, you're like, well, wait, you're trying to be legit.
Yeah.
And that makes me uncomfortable.
And I feel like there's a whole ghost clientele. It's like the witching hour or something because, it's when you see like, there's a faded cardboard box of like, oh, I don't know, bewilderers.
I need those.
Yeah.
They sound great.
And it's just like, they've been there so long.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it, is this knowledge. Like, because sometimes the branding, when something's branded, it's like time locked. Like, you know what era that was made because you can look at the design work, you can look at the brand, you can go, oh, that's dated. And then that's the scary thing on food stuff, despite knowing that it's basically 99% sugar. You're looking at this faded box, and it's got this logo on it that looks like from the fucking 70s. And you're like, so that's just been here then, huh?
Yeah.
That's just here.
Or if it hasn't, that raises even more questions. Because then it's like, are they getting a fresh shipment of Scungies or something like that,
Scungy bars. Or is it the same situation but at the warehouse? So there's been a warehouse that has been paid £1 a month rent from the 70s, full of Scumby bars.
Yeah.
Like floor-to-ceiling Scumbies because no one likes Scumbies.
Rich in malt.
Yeah. And so some bright businessman inherits all of these warehouses that have still got Scumbies and Bentleys and Chirrups and everything in there. And he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll contact all of these little corner shops. And I'll be like, I've got a deal for you, son. I'll give you. I'll ship
pay you.
Please, God, I'll pay you to show up at your place with a dump truck and just tip it through your door, and you'll have sweets for days. And I'll have paid you for the privilege.
It's like if it weren't for the timeline being completely out, it's almost like there's an automated factory somewhere. Like if robotics had existed to this extent like 30 years ago and they never turned it off, like all it can do is produce.
What if that's what it is? Like this is AI. And it's developed by itself and no one knows. There's a factory out there, right, that in the 70s was built and made by, Sir Bentley. And he had this grand vision for his sweets. And he built the factory and he turned the machine on and then he died on the spot, dead. And he had no one to take on his estate, but no one was there to turn the machine off. And gradually it became sentient. And it's been churning stuff out. And it's making, like, brands. And it's designing new, wonderful treats for the children.
Automata, like kind of walking up and down the aisles, and every day, and like once a week, maybe the delivery van comes around and they're like, "Oh, Frank, I don't like this place. It gives me the willies." And
the lights are never on.
And then a figure comes out wearing a very long overcoat. It's like, "Hello, human."
Hello, fellow human. I would like some of your sugar.
But it's like, don't ask questions, Frank.
Just drive.
We need the money. But it's like and that poor AI, because it's only trying to please its dead master. And it's like,
and it's at the core of the machine. You can't even reach it for pipes and conveyor belts and everything. It's just like, must create taste sensations for children.
And then, like, in years still to come, like, the adventurer, like, you know, cracks open the door and comes in.
Post-apocalyptic landscape.
And it's all kind of like, it's dimmed to kind of like only residual power. And like maybe the conveyor belt is kind of like crunching along a little bit. And you just see like this one solitary
Scumby.
this one Scumby bar is coming along. And he picks it up and he's like, what is this? And you just hear this faded voice from the automaton. It's like, children need mung beans.
Fade to black. Finn.
this one misguided dream to get children eating more bulgur wheat or something like that.
And that's core Tenet programming though. Like that, although it developed sentience and a desire to create new brands and incredible new packaging, it never got away from the mung beans. It just never got away. And so every sweet it makes is garbage.
You pick up a Scumby bar and it's like contains at least 2 mung beans, and they're not blended in.
No, they're just solid in there.
Just inserted too.
80% gluten. You know, definitely not vegan.
It's like they use some kind of like offshoot of the sugar family, which is not technically toxic, but it's not technically food either.
Yeah, it's just on the front, just like now includes tetrachlorophyll. It's like, oh, I mean, I guess
a leading source of prawn protein. I don't know, and I think I have to go with something like that. Like there was just a warehouse full of it.
I really like this idea
because the alternative is far more terrifying. The idea that people are buying this and you never see them,
and the idea that people are making it and thinking, oh, what people want is Scumbies. Like I'm going to make another metric ton of Scumbies.
It's like off-brand crisps as well. Like it's the same kind of family, and you only get them in these little newsagents. It'll be like, I don't know, salt and vinegar. Manhole covers or something like that. Oh, it's a prawn cocktail lamppost. You know,
yeah, I'll eat it.
And it's shaped like the only rehydrogenized corn snack based on the shape of a lamppost.
Yeah, that's their USP. And it's what a way to go. Lean into it.
And it's not so much like what they are and what they taste like, because we put a lot of crap in our bodies.
Oh yeah,
like
my body is a temple to garbage.
It's like,
to the garbage god, come to my altar.
Your cheese offering has sated them. But like,
no, they rushed that through.
we don't want this. But no, but we put so much crap in our bodies. It doesn't really matter. So the fact that what you're opening is legally, if not morally, food is fine. But it's the fact that the packaging is something like I would design.
Yeah.
And it's never changed.
It's
and
worse
never
than
felt.
what you design.
Thank you, yeah. You're very kind. But it's never felt the need to change or improve.
And I think that's the big thing, really, isn't it? Is that packaging only develops and evolves and stuff like that because they need to brand themselves. They need to market themselves as something desirable.
Yeah.
But these aren't trying to be desirable. These know what they are.
But it's like, is that enough? That's a crazy thing. Like, as a business model, did they instantly achieve all their goals? And they're like, we're not going to grow, we're not going to shrink, and we're damn not going to change. We're just going to keep making these.
We've nailed it. Well, Chris has a hate.
Does he really?
He sent it in via audio clip.
My.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I can hear him coming in now. It's like he's in the room.
Well, John or Nick, thank you so much for asking me what my hate would be for this week. And I'll tell you, in this completely improvised format, my hate is people and actors in particular, and presenters of TV shows and popular podcasts, phoning in their performance. It really, really gets to me, you know, that they can't even make this sort of effort for their fans, ultimately. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines to phone it in is to do something with low enthusiasm or effort. While the phrase may sound innocuous enough in an age when telecommunications and conference calls are common, it originates from the notion of someone who can't be bothered to show up when expected. Well, I think we can all agree that doesn't apply to any of us sitting here today.
Didn't we briefly talk about phoning it in our super special bonus episode about the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer?
Oh, yes.
In which our good friend Chris Ray commented on the fact that even if we overlook the questionable design choices,
which is a challenge in itself,
all the actors in that one scene of army generals were really phoning it in.
Really, really phoning it in.
Just not trying at all.
Yeah, it's like Chris has a special second sense because he only has one sense, and this is his second sense to sort of see like phoning it in when it's present, and it's a remarkable talent, really. Like, yeah.
There we are.
There we go.
Well, I for one, I'm just really glad that he could contribute in some way to the show.
Yeah.
Do you have a love?
I do have a love.
Right, yes. Moving on from that, unfortunately.
Let's put that behind us. It's good that you brought up the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh.
Because my love
here we go.
is the Sonic... No. is Detective Pikachu.
Oh.
Yes. I went to see it.
So what you're saying is you're a Nintendo apologist.
Oh, 100%. Fanboy, apologist, whatever word you want to use. I don't want Mario to show up at my door, okay? Like,
Terrifying.
please, if you're listening.
Terrifying stooge. I'll take that.
I'll take it. That movie had no right to be good.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Or were you just speculating?
Before I saw it, I was
My
speculating.
fanfic about watching the Detective Pikachu movie, it was amazing.
But I haven't been.
Oh.
No, I did go, and I mean, I had to. I saw that trailer and I was like, this trailer isn't shit. This trailer has made me laugh a couple of times, and I really like Pokemon. So I have to know. I have to know, why is Pikachu talking? What is the mystery? Like, how do you make a film about all of these things? How do you do this? And I think in many ways they have failed. Like, I mean, whether
okay, yeah.
I mean,
break it down.
Whether or not, I mean, this won't be recognised as high art. You know, like it's very strange, and I do wonder whether it's really only any good for someone who likes Pokemon. But I enjoyed it.
But if you're somebody who likes Pokemon, which I historically do,
you do.
An authentic Pokemon movie for me would be possibly 300 hours long.
Oh yeah,
and a green on black, black on green is what I'm saying.
I believe you've seen that movie already, and it would be very, very stat centric. I'm talking like elemental tables. You know, like the hidden stats that are behind the main stats you see in the game. We're talking deep dive RPG storyline.
And the protagonist would defeat the Elite Four in the opening act and then just play them over and over and over again. Like literally, they would just revisit that scene again and again and again.
What in the classic Pokemon games, you got to name your rival.
Yes.
Did you not? What did you name yours, John? In your most recent playthrough?
It may have been Asshat.
I think it was Asshat.
I'd forgotten about it.
I
think it was Asshat, yeah.
Which is great because every time he comes in, it's like, hey, it's me, your rival, Asshat. And he says it with such pride.
He's owning it.
He really is.
He's really owning it.
But he's still a loser, obviously.
But tell me more about Detective Pikachu.
Well, here's the biggest thing. And this might be a spoiler. So if you're, this is a spoiler, undeniably. If you're planning to go see Detective Pikachu, maybe pause the podcast. Go out now.
Or mute it.
Mute it.
But leave it playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then just guess when to come back in.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
You'll work it out. You got this, champ.
But I thought this would just be like, this would be its own thing. Let's not worry about the stuff that's happened in the Game Boys, right?
Right.
Oh my God, no.
What?
It's canon.
What?
What's happened in the Game Boy, what's happened in Red and Blue, what's happened since then is alluded to being historical truth in Detective Pikachu. Mewtwo is in the movie.
Right.
And they refer to what happens in Red and Blue regarding Mewtwo, Team Rocket, and the Kanto. Yeah, that's right. Kanto region.
Yeah.
They refer to the Kanto region. They refer to that being where Mewtwo was first developed and created and escaped from. They refer to there being a trainer involved in that. They're referring to the Game Boy games as happening 20 years ago.
And really, they are referring to you.
To me, my specific playthrough. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they meant mine.
No, it's mine.
Oh.
Because the rival wasn't called Asshat.
Oh.
That's how you know.
Yeah. Damn it, yeah.
That really surprised me.
Wouldn't you be mad if they were like, I heard legend tell that the legendary trainer had a level 66 Poliwhirl, and you're like, fuck my life, that was me.
That was me. That was me. I can't remember his name, but he definitely had a Beedrill on his team. Because he loves Beedrill. I really like Beedrill.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's my favourite.
Tell me more about this completely unweird movie that you saw.
I don't know what to say. There's a whole scene where, like, it's a really long scene. It's maybe too long, where there are these Pokemon from a generation I'm not familiar with, because I really only know the first 150. And through some scientific experimentation, they've been made to be colossal, right? So they are a Pokemon that looks like a little rock garden. So they look like a turtle, right, with a little face. And then their back, where their shell would be, is like a little rockery. That's what the Pokemon normally looks like. It's about the size of a
kind of like
turtle.
an anti-Bulbasaur.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But like like a great turtle sort of size, like who's the size of a coffee table, say.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Pokemon looks like that, and there are some in a cage, and then there's like a little moment where a throwaway comment where one of the characters just goes, "Oh, they've been experimenting on these with size." And that's like throwaway comment. And then later on, they're out in like a forest, and the forest starts to like upheave and like lift out of the ground, kind of like Inception when the city folds over on top of it, and you're seeing like the impossible horizon being lifted up, becoming a wall in front of you, trees coming down on top of you, and you realise that this isn't an earthquake. They're getting up, and they're stood on the back of them, and there's this incredible shot, and it looks astonishingly good. The camera pans back, and our heroes are stood on the back of this Pokemon. It's a Pokemon the size of an island at sea.
Right.
And there's a herd of them. And they've all like upheaved now because of what happened. And it's like we spend about 20 minutes there with them.
Are you honestly telling me that like the driving plot point of this movie is a plot to make Pokemon really big?
A plot to experiment with Pokemon. And one of the experiments they were doing was to make them really, really big. Yes, for some reason.
You see, everything you're saying, not having seen the movie now, I can't... You could say anything right now, and I'm genuinely not sure if it's part of the plot or just evidence of a disturbed mind. Like, you could just... like... I'm suddenly very aware that I'm trapped in a room with you right now.
Here's the greatest mystery that they managed to keep secret from the trailer. Bill Nye's in it. Bill Nye's in this film, and he says the word Pokemon. Like, that word comes out of his mouth. Bill Nye. Now, I know Bill Nye was an octopus pirate in a film. So maybe his, like, what's the word? Dignity wasn't ever really, like, that elevated beyond this.
Although, is he playing Bill Nye, or is he voicing...
No, he's a character. No, he's a human in the story. He's a man.
Oh.
A human man. Like a head of a corporation.
Okay, quick question I have to ask. If they reference the events of the original game...
Really briefly, but yes.
Really briefly. Are we saying that's like 100 years in the past, 1,000 years in the past?
No, I think they say 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of, I guess, alluding to... Because, like, Pokemon came out in 95. So
it had a big anniversary a couple of years ago. So
it did, because that's when we played it recently, wasn't it? When
yeah.
they all became available on DS.
So I guess it would have been 20 years old.
Well, that was 25 then, maybe. So it'd be 2005, 2015, that'd be 20.
Numbers, I love them. They're great.
Maths podcast.
No, it's great. Okay, so, wow. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. There's also a Pokemon battle in it.
Yeah. Is
there
it turn-based?
So menus. No, it's not turn-based.
Oh, okay.
It's very much like the anime, where they're shouting commands and the Pokemon do what they say. There are also... there's a dubstep Pokemon in it. Now, apparently,
Apparently this is a real Pokemon.
A real Pokemon, yeah, because I went with a friend, and he's very knowledgeable about the later generations. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, that's Dubstepmon. It is Skrillexmon. I don't know. He knew all about this Pokemon, but they clearly were really chuffed with this one. Like, the design team were like, we nailed this Pokemon. So he's in every scene. Like, intimate, like, human-on-human scenes. He's there somewhere in the background. He's just everywhere.
I don't know what this Pokemon looks like. I'm kind of picturing a Pokemon who's... like has a couple of decks and they're kind of like part of his body and he's kind of like maybe they're his nipples and he's just constantly rubbing them.
That's good, John. That is good, and I think that's something that every kid's movie needs.
Yeah.
He looks like a sort of square with a face in the middle of the square. He's got two little feet in the bottom corners, and then he's got two big Mickey Mouse ears coming out the top of the square, and those are speakers. And then he's got a big horrible mouth. It's a really horrible mouth, like very real mouth. But that's okay. And then his ear speakers sort of like pulsate, and then like what look like shockwaves come out of them. It's like kind of stuff. And he's in one scene. He's like the PA system, or a few of them are the PA system for the battle. So there are some humans with like a speaker system. They have a mic and they have like a channel desk kind of thing. But then when they speak, it's coming out of the Pokemon. So I don't know technologically how that works and whether they have an input jack. I don't really want to think too much about that. But I thought, oh, that's the scene with the dubstep Pokemon. That's cool. But then they're in like another 3 or 4 scenes. And I don't know why. But they're there a lot.
I just really don't know how to process a lot of what I'm hearing. So
this is what I mean. It's really weird.
So Pikachu in the movie.
Pikachu's in the movie. He's in it.
Yeah, and he can talk.
He can talk. He's a talking Pikachu, but only his new friend and partner can understand him.
So to everyone else, he's saying Pikachu.
Pika Pika. And in fact, we hear what other people hear when he talks. And I think it's the original actress who did Pikachu in Japan.
So does that mean that all other Pikachus in this world are that intelligent, or all have the capacity to be detectives, scholars, poets, footballers, and yet they are trapped as kind of mute slaves for the humans?
No.
Right.
I could tell you why this Pikachu can talk.
He's a special Pikachu.
He's a special Pikachu.
But he can't really talk. It just so happens that one human can understand him.
That's never really made clear. I mean, he can, like, the human can understand individual words this Pokemon is saying, this Pikachu is saying.
Yes.
Like, to the human, he is speaking full English.
Because it sounds more like the human has a special power, not
That's what I
the
thought.
Pokemon.
But it's not that.
Right. Okay, doesn't make a whole lot of sense there.
I cannot stress enough how weird this film is. It's very weird.
And yet.
You see, weird's good.
Yeah.
Like, when weird isn't offending, when weird isn't hurting, when weird isn't broken, and it's not broken. The movie isn't broken. It follows its own internal logic. When you sort of unpack it a bit afterwards, it all makes sense. It is very funny throughout. Genuinely very fun. The whole Mr. Mime scene is so much darker than you'd expect it to be. It's hilarious. But it is very strange.
Okay. I mean, we can all salute strange.
Absolutely.
Strange is better than being boring.
Oh, yeah.
But in dragging as we saw with Sonic, in dragging a historically two-dimensional video game into Kicking and Screaming, into glorious
Very much
3D.
Kicking and Screaming.
So you've got hair, you've got paws,
You've got textures.
If you ever
lips.
wanted to see a sweaty, Diglett.
There wasn't a Diglett in it. That's Ali's favourite
weird.
Pokemon. She was rooting for a Diglett and there was no Diglett.
Ah, because they're cowards.
Because
And
they
I'll
don't
tell
know
you-
what's under the
I'll
ground.
tell you, yeah,
Yeah.
because that raises too many questions.
Exactly.
And this is my thing. If you're like, if you're
Cowards.
the designer and like you're reaching into, you got your Photoshop open and you're drawing your Pokemon.
You're doing your concept art.
And you've got next to you, you have a vat of a high density jelly which just has like high def written on it.
Yes.
And with every character, literally, you can just reach in,
scoop that out.
You have to get, and it works best if you use your fingers.
Of course,
So
yeah.
you pick up like a
Tactile.
big handful of high def, and you just smear it on this Pokemon, and it becomes
What we see in the
gloriously
movie.
real. So
Yeah.
if you see, if this Pokemon in the game, it just looks like you say, a cube.
Yeah.
Or it's a cube with arms. They smear.
Not now.
Smear the high def onto it, they drag it through the veil into the real world, it's 3D, and now you have the joy of seeing what a cube made out of flesh and cartilage actually looks like.
And it's usually screaming at this point.
As is everyone in the design studio.
What have we done?
And this is why I say they're cowards, because it's fine for the hairy Pokemon, but someone looked at Diglett, a fan favourite, and said, this is a bridge too far.
We cannot go here.
We cannot have a meat cylinder that comes out of the ground with sweat glands and probably a soft downy fur.
Yeah, he probably, like mole-like, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrinkly. He'd probably be wrinkly.
We see Mewtwo a lot in this movie. And obviously, I'm sure as you can tell from the artwork you've seen of Mewtwo before, he ain't furry.
No.
No. He's got a sort of rubbery consistency to his skin. And there are folds and creases on that creature that you never thought you would ever need to see. And you don't need to see them.
But of course you see them, and even though you're a little horrified, you're like, I can't question their dedication.
There would be a crease
Yeah,
there.
there would have to be a crease there.
I mean, where else does he shit from?
No, exactly. Yeah, and some may have questioned the budget that did go towards accurately imagining and rendering a Pokemon's anus.
Yes.
And some may have said
I
that,
say it's money well spent.
I think that is
personally.
money well spent.
I think so. We need to know.
Because if you're gonna have a real life Pokemon, you've got to get it all.
I'm
the
sorry,
rough and the smooth.
The whole thing falls down if we don't know how they poop.
And they did talk to the original designers of the original Pokemon, and they said if they'd had the technology,
They'd have done it.
they would have rendered a fully three-dimensional Mewtwo anus. Because that was their original vision, and we have to respect that.
That was the starting point for Pokemon. It was like, I've had an idea for a Mewtwo's anus. Whoa. What's a Mewtwo? Well, I don't think that's important at this point, Ralph.
Whoa. Like where you're going. A lot of promise with the anus. What's a Mewtwo?
I think you've jumped ahead a little.
Tell me more.
You know the whole run before you can walk? Well, you've gone to light speed before you can walk. What's a Mewtwo? Yeah. I mean, yeah, go see it.
Where do you? Because I think there was. While Pikachu has become a international sensation.
Oh yeah,
people just love Pikachu.
Love a Pikachu.
We've gotten used to the idea of Pikachu as a kind of smooth yellow, two-dimensional creature.
Orb.
We get how he works, and I think we've even had three-dimensional Pikachus before.
Oh yeah,
in video games.
In the video game, sure.
But he's always just like a smooth kind of bean shape.
He is.
Where did you feel? Where did you sit initially when suddenly Pikachu is very, very furry?
I was surprised at first, but then I realised that I think that my surprisal was stupid because he is meant to be a mouse. That's what he's described as. And even in his little description in the very first game, he is described as a mouse. And I think he was only ever rendered as a sphere, like a smooth, essentially, sphere, because of the style he was drawn in. And so I immediately chastised myself and went into a dark room with a belt and whipped myself repeatedly until I accepted the fact that he should, of course, be furry. He's adorable in the movie.
He does look lovely. I think we can all agree.
There's some uncanny valley stuff in this film, but it's almost played for laughs. Like, Mr. Mime looks weird because he's meant to be fucking weird. Like, they talk about how weird Mr. Mimes are in the film. And that's okay.
But again, they do interrogate a Mr. Mime.
It's fully in an abandoned warehouse.
Which suggests he is an intelligent, rational creature.
This is why when I disagreed with you,
right,
I did it very much with a caveat, because there is a central theme to this film.
Oh.
And the theme is that you can communicate with Pokemon. Not in the way that our hero does with Detective Pikachu.
Okay.
But in the fact that they are cleverer than most people think. And that you can reach out to them with your heart. You can reach out to them with your heart and your emotions, and they'll understand you, and they will do things.
But again, they have a symbiotic society that has come together, and everyone talks about the magical bond between a human and a Pokemon. But when you're using the electric rat to like power your city, and maybe that rat is a person.
Well, yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
Are they people, or are they like?
It's the same with battles, though. It's like, I'll just send my pet into battle with another person's pet. That's some hot bullshit.
I feel there's a horrifying second-class citizen thing going on here.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, in a way, the anime and the games have always inferred that Pokemon can understand people.
Honest to goodness, and again, this is where we have to talk about the cowardice of the filmmakers.
Oh yeah.
Because if they had the guts to do what was necessary, the plot of this movie would have been, as they uncover the mystery, they uncover a Pokemon terrorist cell who unleash a virus.
The Resistance.
They unleash a virus which robs humanity of the ability to speak. Yes, this is the plot of Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
And they just say their own names.
Human. And then the final shot is like Pikachu holding like a new Pokeball.
Oh my god.
Only it's homemade.
It has an H on it.
And he just goes, I choose you.
And it's cut to black.
Smash cut, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Oh, I wish it was that now. That's way better.
I've got a love.
Hit me up. My
love is 90s superheroes.
Oh, yes.
I love them to bits.
I can get on board with this one.
And I love them almost because... Well, they're not good.
No.
In a terrible... Like, they're pretty bad in many ways. They break a lot of rules of design and sometimes basic storytelling. And yet, and I know this is probably just the era I grew up in and, the kind of formative things that you see when you're young, but I do like a pouch.
I think for me, like, because you're right, it's the formative thing. But I think, like... That's what I think a superhero is.
Yeah.
And that's not, like you say, that's not necessarily a good thing. But, like, the only thing that disappoints me so regularly with movie superheroes is that they are not that.
Yes.
They're not. And I don't know where I come down on the fact that I admit some of them, if not a lot of them, is shit. Like, outright shit. But they are superheroes through and through. Whereas, a dude wearing kind of black, strapped... kind of body armor, like SWAT team armor. That's not a superhero. I don't care if you want to make it realistic. I'm just...
Because, I mean, like, the 90s is all about, like, excess.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Marvel, this is prior to the movies, they were actually on their ass kind of financially. They weren't doing very well at all.
Big time.
But you've got, like, that progression, that evolution where, like, you draw a character in the 60s, it's very simple lines,
archetypal.
Yeah, and like, a costume is quite streamlined because that's just like the limits of the art at the time.
Yeah, true, in the printing, yeah.
And then you get this kind of progression where, you refine, you grow, and the characters adapt and stuff. And then you get these weird trends coming in. So like in the 90s, everyone started wearing a jacket.
I was going to mention this.
Everyone threw on a jacket.
And the thing is that that's still fucking great. That classic Rogue,
yeah,
like green and yellow jumpsuit with a leather bomber jacket over the top.
Yeah.
That is one of the most iconic looks ever.
Because for people of a certain age, like our age, like something like the X-Men cartoon was formative.
That was my first exposure to X-Men. Yeah.
So when I think of Cyclops,
yeah,
he's wearing that blue costume and that weird thing they had where it's like a full body lycra.
Yeah, like a face-free sleeve.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
But his hair was out the top of it, so it was like, it went up his neck, around his head, around his ears. His face had a hole, but he had a band across his forehead.
Yes,
and then his hair would just flow out over the top of it.
Is, I think human culture may have peaked with the hair-free onesie. Like, I honestly think that's one of the finest designs.
Like, someone came up with that. Someone was the first to do that.
Find that man.
Find that man and give him a medal and an egg.
It might be Jim Lee. Let's find it.
It might be Jim Lee.
And it's like, because we've recently been rereading The Wildstorm.
Yes.
Or reading The Wildstorm.
Warren Ellis's stuff.
Yeah. So, as a bit of context, if you're not familiar, in the 90s, when Marvel was on its ass and DC wasn't much better, a bunch of artists broke away from Marvel and founded Image Comics.
Yes.
And they were the superstar artists.
They were the big guns that Marvel and DC couldn't afford to lose.
Yes.
And yet they did.
And some might say that when they founded this new company with whole new superheroes, some might say they were mostly ripped off of the characters they liked working with.
Some would definitely say that.
Yeah. Some might say that Wildcats was basically X-Men.
Some would say that.
And every character had a direct analogue to the character they'd been ripped off. But you had Image Comics, and then Image kind of fractured and went its separate ways. But from the kind of ruins of that, you had the Wildstorm universe.
Yeah.
That kind of rose. So you ended up with not many teams. It didn't have like the thousands of characters that Marvel had.
Yeah.
But you had Wildcats.
Yep.
You had Stormwatch.
Yes.
And
one of my personal faves.
You had Youngblood, which is one that nobody talks about now. That was Rob Liefeld's one.
Yeah.
So bad.
Because it's got blood in the title,
It
so of course
awful,
you know it's his.
But you had like these very tight group of characters. And then Warren Ellis, an amazing writer, comes in. And he took these characters that nobody really cared about that much. Like they had a following, but no one thought they were especially good.
Yeah.
And he became the architect of this very like focused, condensed, because he had fewer characters to work with. He made this amazing kind of shared universe.
Yeah, he made it his own as well, didn't he? Very much.
And it was this idea of like superheroes, but adult superheroes.
Yes.
So the idea that like they're very, and that's where we get this kind of now this idea, which we see in the Avengers, where like superheroes can be like a branch of the military.
Yes.
Like they work for S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever.
Yeah.
So you had Stormwatch,
like
who
corporational superheroes sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, and it was so cool. And it's interesting that now he's doing the Wildstorm, where he's revisiting these characters, and it's very, very modern, very
up to date,
so realistic,
tech savvy, like spot on. Yeah,
but it's making me so nostalgic for the days of the 90s.
Yeah,
there's something about him. Like we talked about the jacket over skin tight lycra. That is a killer look.
Excellent look.
The obsession with straps and pouches,
bandoliers everywhere. Like Cyclops had that yellow one across his chest with
and
pouches
he looked
on it.
So cool.
Yeah.
And what did he keep in those pouches?
Like contact lenses?
I have no. That's what makes a lot of sense.
One contact lens.
I have no idea.
One massive contact lens.
And then you have the character of Grifter.
Yeah.
In the Wildcats, and I honestly feel. And if you're not familiar with him, Google him.
Yeah.
I honestly feel that Grifter is one of the greatest superhero designs ever.
Mm.
And the reason for that is his costume is the utmost... It's the simplest thing you could have.
It's like distilled.
And still call it a costume, and yet it's instantly identifiable.
Yes.
And he literally just has a handkerchief tied around his face.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Apologies.
kind of... Oh, it's a phone in this studio. But
professionals.
It's the weird kind of thing that would never exist in real life, where he has a hanky which he can tie around his face, and it leaves his hair uncovered and covers the front of his face, and yet it has eye holes.
That's right.
Which perfectly
line up.
And they're like that. And when he puts it on, his eyes are just white.
Yeah. Somehow.
And he's got like these kind of black markings around, and it's one of the coolest looking things in the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what he's wearing underneath. He just looks great.
I think, I feel like we've gone through like superheroes in movies and TV, and we've learned some things. Marvel have learned some things, but maybe not as much as I would like. And I think there is a gap for true superheroes on TV and movies. I think we haven't yet had that moment where I'm watching stuff, because there were some moments in like Endgame and Infinity War and some of the Avengers movies where I've been like, I can't believe I'm watching this. But those moments only come not when the story's realistic, not when the story's like grounded or making sense or doing a really clever sci-fi thing. Those movies come when it feels like the comics.
Yeah.
Like there's a moment in Age of Ultron, and maybe a lot of people just glossed over this, and they're fighting at the very, very beginning in this sort of snowy forest, and they all leap across, and they're all in line for a split second, and you can tell Joss Whedon was thinking like a double-page spread when he shot that. And I like giggled when I saw that moment, and it's like, that was a superhero moment, and then it was gone, and then when we were back in a gritty, realistic world, and it's great. I love those movies, don't get me wrong. But every now and then it's just like, I can't believe I'm watching this, and it's like, I feel like they could do it. They could do it one day. We could get the rogue bomber jacket. We could get the grifter face mask on a TV screen. And they're cowards. It's going back to this again.
Yeah.
They think we can't put someone in an outfit like that because it will look ridiculous. That's what they think.
I mean, I could do a whole hate on this, but it drives me mad when they get so close and then they back away. It's like everything that made that character recognisable. But and then they veer off at the last minute and they just kind of miss it. And you can guarantee, like, if they turned Grifter into a real life character now, they'd somehow find a way to make his mask boring.
Oh yeah, it would be like a helmet or something. It would just be like a SWAT team mask or something like that. You know, just be painted red. And yeah, Hawkeye's a brilliant example. Like, they weren't bold enough to make Hawkeye purple in the very first time we ever saw him, which was the Avengers movie. But he had some purple on his suit. Yeah. Well, that's gone now. He's just in black now.
They're all wearing black.
Basically are. I mean, I was really glad that Endgame brought Cap's colour back into his suit. Yeah. Because Infinity War, I was like, what is happening?
But even then...
the colour's dull.
It is a very dull colour. And he doesn't have the white and red kind of stripes.
I think he does actually have them, but there was barely a shot that you could see him.
And I know, like, Age of Ultron is not a perfect movie at all.
I really enjoy it, though.
I love it. I have a lot of affinity for it. Like, every time I watch it, it gives me a little bit more.
I watched it recently.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is like the end of that movie, and this isn't a spoiler to say this because you should have seen this by now.
Really?
They're lifting a city into the sky only to drop it down again. That's comic books.
It's stupid, but it's powerfully stupid.
And I've heard people say, like, that's so fucking ridiculous. That's what I don't like about Ultron. I'm like, well, what are you in this for? Because, like, that's what I'm in this for. I'm in for cities being lifted out of the ground. That's what I come to these movies for, you know?
Oh my God. And just, like, I think Cap's costume in Age of Ultron is really good.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's good. Yeah.
It's like they became ashamed of being colourful.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I like 90s comics, because they were never ashamed. Now, maybe they should have had some self-awareness.
Maybe they should have been ashamed.
There was a definite lack of self-awareness, but... God damn it, they did everything.
And I think it's right that we should mention that there's some hefty sexism in there with how women are depicted, and we're not glorifying that, you know. But then again, like we've both said that one of our favourite female superhero outfits is Rogue's, and that's not really sexualized, to be honest. I mean, it's form-fitting, obviously, but like there's not excess flesh on display there. Like, she's fully covered and wearing a jacket.
It's like the it's kind of weird because. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot. The nudity was not reciprocated, like across the gender
genders.
Divide. Yeah. But like we joke about how bad some of the artwork got in the 90s, but the musculature was like nothing else. That's kind of like when I dabbled with drawing. Yeah. In my youth, that's kind of like where I learnt to draw musculature. Yeah. So you're just like, oh, let's throw in a muscle.
Let's
there.
add a muscle.
What is that? I don't know.
What's that? Fuck muscle, I guess. I don't know.
When I tense this one, my body becomes rigid, utterly rigid,
fully full of blood.
Oh God bless him. Like,
God bless him, everyone.
You can't go back.
No,
but I'll always love a grifter.
Oh yeah.
So I know. I think it's only fitting, given the effort he's put into this episode, that Chris Ray should bring the last love.
Yeah. Well, here it is.
Well, thanks again, John or Nick. My love this week is learning a new skill. I recently went on a cookery course. Called Taste of Thai. I learned to do a very nice pad thai, and I've cooked it at home since, so I was quite pleased with myself about that. Other skills could range anything from rollerblading to drawing, as I know Nick is very talented at, or writing, as John, I know you're very talented at, or learning to use the new voice recording app on one's new phone. I mean, any new skill is a skill learned, and it's something that should be precious to you, our listener, just as you are to me.
And in a perfect world, we then segue into our sponsor this week is Skillshare.
Oh, yeah.
We're not sponsored.
No. Our sponsor this week is Rollerblades.
Oh, Rollerblades.
Try them out. That's their tagline.
Smash cut. It's a gnarly rollerblade, like a skate ring. Where do people skate? Skate park. It's a gnarly skate park.
What do those cool kids do?
And there's a boring man walking by him.
He's in a suit with a briefcase.
And they push him over. He's like, oh no.
Oh, those skaters.
And then this kid looks him in the eye and he's wearing a bomber jacket. And he goes, yeah. And then he does a sick flip. And as he spins through the air, what's that in his hand? It's a Scumby bar.
Oh, yeah.
and he takes a big bite of Scumby. And goes, yeah.
Oh, big bite of Scumby isn't a phrase I like at all.
No.
Like, that's not got a nice ear feel.
Pick up a Scumby. Pick up a Scumby bar at all good news agents.
Pick up a Scumby if you can.
You find it's under the grot.
It's hard because they're super dense, so they're very heavy.
They're very dense.
And they're also very slippery.
Yeah.
Which is a weird combination of things to be super heavy and super slippery.
And they always come in 5-packs, which is like, it's just a really, you always end up with like a leftover Scumby in your fridge.
Yeah, they do have a carry handle, but it's always broken.
What the weirdest thing about Scumby bars is that they're stored and shipped in the same manner as sausages.
They're all chained on.
You can only buy a chain of Scumbies.
Are they packaged but chained?
No,
they're raw.
It's really interesting because one of the primary mistakes as somebody new to eating a Scumby bars, you don't really want. You
can't.
You might think that they're only arranged in a string of sausage fashion by the packaging, but no, there is actually a very long animal tendon running.
Oh my god! I actually heard it was an umbilical cord.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And in fact, whenever you pick up a Scumby, it is actually still connected to the factory that it came from. There's no way of really severing that. And once you start on the Scumby experience, you're just part of a human chain, really.
Scumby, chow on down.